Semjaza watched the daughters of men as they drew water from the rivers. They live so freely, he thought. They know no command but the beat of their own hearts. Azazel stood beside him. They are fragile, he said quietly. And yet, there is strength in them, the kind that does not bow, even to heaven. The others began to whisper among themselves too. Curiosity turned to longing, and longing turned to desire. Semjaza felt the weight of it pressing on his chest. He turned his face toward the sky, as if searching for a voice to silence what he felt. But there was only wind. He looked again at the world below, and he envied what he saw. The watchers were no longer only watchers. They were witnesses to something they could not resist. For the first time in eternity, the sons of heaven felt desire. Days turned into months, and months into years. Yet Semjaza's gaze never wavered. He watched the world below with the same quiet wonder. And even though they had sworn an oath, hesitation lingered in his heart. And then finally, he broke the stillness. "Brothers," he said, "we have watched them for so long. Their lives are brief, yet they burn with a light we do not know. Is it truly wrong to wish to walk among them?" Arakiel answered, "It is not wrong to wish, but the act will condemn us. Heaven forbids it." Semjaza turned to him. "And yet, is heaven not silent?" "Perhaps the silence is permission." Azazel stepped closer. "You fear punishment, Semjaza. You think you will fall alone. But we have sworn together. If one falls, all fall. None will turn away." Semjaza's gaze drifted back to the earth. "I only fear," he said, "that in seeking love, we will bring ruin." Arakiel placed a hand on his shoulder. "We already chose, brother. The vow is made. Let us finish what we began." The air grew heavy, and silence settled over them. Even the night seemed to wait. Then Semjaza lifted his face to the sky and whispered, "So be it." And the watchers descended once again. But this time they came through clouds and light, descending toward the earth that had long drawn their eyes and stirred their hearts. To the eyes of men, they appeared as tall and radiant beings. The daughters of men saw them and trembled. Semjaza approached one woman by the river. Her eyes reflected the starlight. "Do not be afraid," he said softly. "I have watched over you since your birth." She trembled. "You are not of this world." "No," he said, "but tonight I choose to walk within it." And so the watchers took wives among the daughters of men. They lived with them, and for the first time, heaven and earth became one. Light and flesh joined in a single breath. From this union came the Nephilim, mighty and restless giants. Their strength had no limit, and their hunger knew no end. They ruled over men like gods, and the world trembled beneath them. At first, they ate the fruit of the fields and the beasts of the land, but soon their hunger grew beyond control. They turned against mankind, devouring what they once ruled. Semjaza stood on a hill overlooking the burning fields below. He spoke softly to himself. "How did it come to this?" he said. "We wanted to guide them, to bring them closer to the light. But is this what we've made?" Azazel looked upon the burning valleys and replied, "This is only the beginning. There is still more to teach them." And just like that, the watchers began to wander the world, each revealing secrets that were never meant for mortal hands. Azazel was the first. He moved among the blacksmiths and said, "Why shape the plow alone when you can shape power?" He showed them how to draw metal from the heart of the earth, how to strike iron. "Make it sharp," Azazel whispered, guiding the hammer of a trembling apprentice. A man with a sword fears no god. In time, the forges glowed brighter than the sun. Men learned to make shields, spears, and armor, and they no longer tilled the soil, they prepared for war. But Azazel's teachings did not end there. To the women, he brought beauty's deception. He ground the dust of gems into powder, showing them how to color their eyes and adorn their bodies. "Let your face shine brighter than the dawn," he said, "and no man will resist your gaze." What began as wonder became vanity. Gold gleamed on their necks, and mirrors filled with pride. Desire, once innocent, turned to hunger. From the mountains, Arakiel descended and taught the knowledge of the earth, how roots could heal, poison, or bind the mind in dreams. "Every plant hides two faces," he said. "One to give life, one to take it." Arakiel lifted his eyes to the night and traced patterns in the stars. "These are not lights," he told the shepherds. "They are signs, messages written by the gods. Learn them, and you will read the future." Kokabel taught the mapping of constellations. Shamsiel revealed the course of the sun. Batariel whispered spells, and Tamiel showed men how to call spirits from the wind. What had once been forbidden became art. The world grew wise but sick at the same time. Villages turned to cities, cities turned to kingdoms, and kingdoms to battlefields. The Nephilim led armies of men who bore the weapons Azazel had given them. The ground was never dry, because it drank the blood of both hunter and king. Semjaza stood on a hill overlooking the carnage. Smoke rose from the plains below. His heart, once filled with awe, now felt heavy. "This was not the world we dreamed of," he said. "We wanted to share the light, not drown it in blood."
See, what our problem is, especially in the Black community, we're so influenced of historical accounts against our African ancestors. We mistake being only concerned about the African ancestors. You know, when we really need to, and say that we are descendants from Africa. But it goes much deeper than that. It goes much deeper than that. It goes even further back, because we have spiritual ancestors as well. And we are the descendant of those spiritual ancestors. There's certain ingredients of characteristics that the Creator imbues in a certain entity, in which creates elements of characteristics, and that what makes this particular entity who and what it is before it's spoken into the womb of our mothers. And so the reason why I told them that not to discredit African ancestors, Native ancestors, or any other ancestors of the flesh, what is most important is who and what affected those before us in the flesh, in which imbue certain characteristics and mannerisms inside of us as descendants, to where we say, well, I must be like my dad, or my dad must be like his father, or whatever the case may be. We have to go a little bit further back. No, not a little bit further back. We have to go all the way back to the beginning. And if you look at the characteristics of all of the fallen angels, as well as all of the names, you will come to understand, I think a lot of people would come to understand themselves a whole lot better. Past your physical ancestors, because everything is principle. And This is one of the reasons why Yeshua has said, except a man be born again of the Spirit, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Of course, me and Brother Walter and the pastors, we did a follow-up from what we were studying last week. That's why I never did a follow-up video of the subject of the fallen angels. However, we did a study today, and it was based on footage that you saw before this primary video. And I don't know how, no other way plain to explain it. I mean, it's right there before your eyes. And considering what's still going on in the world today, and if you would do your proper research, not only with the Bible, but other books, like Paradise Lost, and other books that goes in harmony with what happened during those times where what happened with the fallen angels and how they interfered, and how the spiritual realm came down and you might as well say integrated with the physical realm, and they created all of these creatures that were on earth, which are really us, which a whole lot of people don't want to accept. They don't want to accept it. And and then they say, well these people were giants. Well, there was some point in time that when Rome was using poodles, as hunting dogs. And those little poodles that you see today, they were the size of German Shepherds or Great Danes. I'm pretty sure a lot of you know what a Great Dane is. It's a huge dog. Now, people may say, well, how did the poodles get so small? Come on. They domesticated them. Breed on with the smaller and the smaller. That's how it transpired. As time went on, the population was growing, and that's pretty much how it happened. A lot of those giants died off and were killed off during the Great Flood. And what was left after the earth was ready to be repopulated, and that's when the second course of humanity had started again. And however, that information, the knowledge of good and evil, and all of those different areas of information that the fallen angels gave mankind still knew of these things. And so this is how you get Rome and Hannibal Barca, and everybody's in the field killing each other. And so you still got warfare. You still got vegetation coming out of the earth. Some vegetation is good for you, and some vegetation is not good for you. And so you're dealing with drugs and medicine. You're dealing with drugs and medicines. It's right there in front of your face. And people see documentaries like that going back so far. They don't want to give that any second thought or any thought at all. As far as back as black people want to go, it's at African ancestors. And your African ancestors didn't give a damn about you. That's how you got here. These so-called kings and queens that you boast about, those were the ones who sold black people into slavery. Okay? This is why I tell a whole lot of black people that, the ones that still walking around with this reparation nonsense in their hand, in their mind, and they're talking about, well, white people owe us reparation. White people were not the ones who sold you into slavery. It was your own African ancestors that you always talking about. Those were the ones who sold you into slavery. So if you want to ask anybody for reparation, I think you should go to Africa and ask your African ancestors, ask the African government to give you your reparations. Because over here, nobody owes you anything. If you would study slavery back in the days, slavery was a business. You had black plantation owners over here right in America who had black and white slaves working on their plantation. So slavery was a business. It was a business. So a whole lot of what the fallen angels established in terms of information is still transpiring right now through government, through drugs, through violence, through pretty much every area of this crooked world right now. Everything is going on right now. Religion, all of this is because of information. As soon as the people got a hold of information, that is what caused the spiritual death of mankind. You know how they say, I hear a whole lot of black people, knowledge is power. No, knowledge is not power. Because it's going to get to the point to where everything you know, you're going to have to discard it if you really want to survive. So as Sir Krishnamurti said, you have to be free from what you know. Freedom from the known. Because what you know is what's causing all of this chaos on the planet. That's what's causing all the chaos on the planet. And that's what's causing the spiritual death. And if you look at what's going on right now, right here on YouTube, all of this information going on, whether it's religion or Anton Daniels and Mika bullshit, everybody's at each other's throats. And all people care about, with all of this conflict and disorder, all they care about is accumulating money. Talking about something talking about a lot of things that don't even matter. This is an opportunity for everyone to accumulate wealth by way of talking about things that are totally irrelevant. And what is that doing to society? What is that doing to the moral standards of each and every human being involving themselves in it? All I see is a whole lot of people getting involved in something that's going to continue to corrupt your mind, and it's going to turn you into a bunch of savages. That's all it is. That's all it is. So a whole lot of what's going on right now is based upon the information of the knowledge of good and evil that the fallen angels possessed and they brought down here on earth. And after they were wiped out, this is when the third beginning comes in, which is the beginning of what the Bible is talking about, where all of that transpired and everyone was removed from heaven and everyone was sent down here on earth. And this is why I say your African ancestors are not your real ancestors. You have to go all the way back to the beginning, and you can't deny that. You have to go all the way back to the beginning, because your African ancestors were also the results of what the fallen angels left behind. Your African ancestors were the results of the information that the fallen angels left behind. This is why we had different tribes and we had different tribal warfares, where Africans in this tribe and that tribe, you had Shaka Zulu, and you had all these other African tribes and kingdoms out there in the fields killing each other. You see where all of that information and of creating shields and spears and all of that stuff, you see where it all come from the fallen angels. So utilizing any area of information in which came from their disobedience to God is not going to produce any peace on earth. It's just going to continue the conflict that you see going on right now. Look at what's happening over there in Iran, with America bombing Iran. Fallen angels. Right down here on earth. This is the reason why all of that is happening. And a lot of people don't want to accept that. They think this is a stretch. It's not a stretch. You have to go all the way back to the beginning and find out, what is this all about? Where did warfare, all these things come from? You know? Where did all of these things come from? Why do I think a certain way? Why do I feel a certain way? Because you are a descendant of the fallen angels. Because all of us right now are walking around with a whole lot of information inside of us that's not good for us. It's not good for us. This is the reason why you have to die to yourself. You have to die to all of those things and be born again. This is the reason why I always say Yeshua's message and example is so valuable, because it makes total sense. You have to die to all of that information and the effects of that information. You have to die to all of it. All of that. You have to die to all of it and be born again back into the spirit. And that's the only reason why, and that's the only way that you're going to be accepted again by the Father. You know how the fallen angels wanted Brother Enoch to go and ask God for forgiveness, and one of the fallen angels said he doesn't listen to anyone who has fallen. And then you go to the Bible, as I always say, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, forgive your sins, and heal the land. I don't know how much more simple I can make this, because all I would suggest, if you doubt this, if you think that this is a stretch, just do your own research. Do your own research, and I think a whole lot of things will start making sense. This is one of the reasons why I say, I hear a lot of black people say, well, what we need to do is go back to the culture, the religion and culture that our African ancestors were involved in. Where do you think they got it from? They got it from the fallen angels. What good did it do for them? Did what they know prevent us from going into slavery? It didn't prevent us from getting put on the slave ship. So why are you going back to that? That's just a vicious cycle. You have to die to all of that. Throw away culture, throw away rituals, throw away tradition. You have to die to all of those things. And when you give yourself back into being a spiritual human being, you're free from all of those things. You don't have any of those bondages on you. No more chains. You have to just be free. And it's a shame of what I see information doing to so many people, especially right now on YouTube. Now people may say, well, you hating on everybody. See, information hating. I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want. And you know how you hate. You can't shame me. I'm just gonna tell it like it is. That's just another platitude that you Negroes use. The same as this whole grown thing. It's grown. You a hater. Crashing out. You crashing out. All of these different common platitudes and these verbal trending quotes mean absolutely nothing. Don't mean anything. You call me whatever the hell you want. because I'm used to your mocking. I've been mocked by black people all of my life. So what you say doesn't mean anything. I'm 62 years old and I'm still here. And I'm still sane. I'm cool. But the whole thing is, sooner or later, you all going to have to stop and really look at yourselves and ask yourself, why am I so interested in everybody else's business instead of focusing on what I need to do so that I can become a better human being, so that I can be really successful to the degree that I don't have to depend on what someone else is doing with their lives in order for me to find my proper focus and produce what I really need in my life. A lot of you are walking around right now feeling as though you need Anton Daniels and Mika's drama or anyone else's drama. You latch on to those things when you really need to be focusing on your God-given gifts and just go from there. You're going to have to learn how to have a little bit more confidence in your own gifted intelligence and in your own God-given gift in order to prosper, no matter what it is. And that's just the bottom line. But the reason why the world is in the shape that it's in right now is because of the accumulation of the knowledge of good and evil, which has caused a spiritual death of mankind. And we are the descendants of the fallen angels because we are currently doing the very same thing that they are doing. If not the very same thing, we're doing this. What is the effects of the information that they established right here